Alright, Mona makers, let's get into it. So we're on Mona.gallery. I'm gonna click build a space. When I click that, it's gonna open up this. Basically, this is just a getting started sort of thing. You can read all this if you want, but basically the first thing is to install Unity. When I click this link, it's going to open up this page here. And so you can choose each sort of version that you want, but as it says here, it needs 2020.3 and whatever. Now, I do have a slightly higher version than what they suggested, but you could go in here and choose the exact same one that they've got. But yeah, just know that sometimes the settings, like the version, might make it not work. But you'll come to that bridge when you come to it. When you install it, you'll need to most likely download the Unity Hub. But because then through that, you will get this sort of thing here, right? So I'm trying to not give too much information, but basically this is where you will log in and have your account. You'll have your projects, so these are other metaverses that I've created. You'll have the installs as well. So at the moment, this is the one that I've got installed. And if I was to, I don't know, let's go in here. If I was to like install this one, when I'm installing it, now you probably don't need the Microsoft Visual Studio. That's more for when you're coding. So you could turn that off, or you could keep it on if you really wanted to. The important thing though to click on is the WebGL build support. WebGL is basically just like making website games. And so you can think of the monoverses and making these metaverses just like little mini games. So make sure you click that on. But because of like I don't want to install a whole thing again, I just already do have an installed version. So like get in contact with me if you want more info, and I'll do a bit more detailed. But this is just going to be a quick going through of the whole process. But basically, once you've installed that, because you'll have to create an account and just follow through with all the little prompts and stuff. It's not too crazy if you're used to programs. You install that with WebGL, and then once it's all installed, we can close this down. And then the next step is downloading the Mona template. So we can click this button, and then we can go into code and download zip, and then that's going to download the project file. So I'm just going to go in here. I'm going to open it up in the file. I'm going to extract it all. Extract. And then I'll just explain what this is real quick. So go and download. It's got the space starter. So all it really is just going to hold all the information. It's going to look heaps confusing, but once it opens up, it's going to open up all these files here. So we've got, if you look into, say like scenes, it's got the different scenes, and we'll have a look at it in Unity though, because in this folder, it's pretty weird. So I'm going to open up my Unity Hub, and then in projects, I'm going to add project from disk. Then I'm going to go and find that one, and that was this one. Okay, so I needed a valid project. So what I did wrong there is that when I click this, I was just in this sort of main folder bit, but I actually need to select this because that's like the folder that contains all the assets and stuff as well. So you need to make sure that you go that deep. Yeah, add project. Now it's got an error, and that's because it was made in a different version, which is what I was talking about before. So they could say, oh, you got to install it, but no, I'm not going to install it. I'm just going to try and open it up, choose with another editor version. Yeah, just use that one. We're all good. All right, and then change version. Yes, okay. And I'm just going to check the recording. Yep, we're still recording. Awesome. Awesome stuff. Okay. So that's just got to update a little bit, but then yeah, so before we move on, see how I said night room here? That was because I renamed the folder. What you'll need to rename is this one here. So if we go into downloads, we've got that first extracted one, then we've got that one. Rename that one there. And it's just because they'll all have the same name. But anyway, all right. It's open. Okay, so when I clicked it to open, now it's opened up. The actual, well, it says, oh, I don't really know how to use it. Just continue. That's fine. Yes, sure. Um, that's something you'll find with Unity is there'll be a little error messages to say, hey, you might be doing the wrong thing. Read it through properly if you really do need to. But most of the time it's just like, yeah, man, no, I do want to do this. Okay, so that's loading up. And so I can close this down. And so we've downloaded the thing. Now we're basically just going to open the template up and load all the scenes and stuff. And yeah, I can do all this. I can show you how to do all that. That's easy. I think that you will find that downloading and setting up Unity might be one of the harder things just because of your computer. And yeah, so we can close that down. We can close this down. This is where we want to be. This is Mona/Playground. You can find, I think, this link in that Builder Space link. Basically, this is where we're going to test it out and preview it. All right, so we have now got Unity. Yes, it looks really confusing. Your setup might be slightly different to mine. I'm trying to think how if I can reset the views. Let's see, default. All right, here we go. So this is Unity. Let's go through it real quick. So we've got all the simple stuff like file and edit. We've got stuff like assets, creating 3D stuff and other objects. That sort of stuff you probably don't need to. This is an important one here. So we're not actually going to be building any mintable files in this one. It's just so that you can test it out, and then I'll make it so that you can share it with other people. Other windows, that's a good one just to run through, but you don't really need to know much from this tutorial. Alright, so we've got first this scene. You would have seen this sort of stuff in other 3D programs if you've ever used them. I'm going to explain this stuff pretty simply first, but just so that you can see the 3D space, I'm going to do that. Alright, now we've got a cube. We've got a little cube in there. So hierarchy is going to record everything that's in the scene. So we've got a camera, and we've got a light, and then we've got a cube as well because we added it in there, right? Really simply, you could create an empty object. That's something that has no information. Other things you could create 3D objects, text. We're going to do some text as well today. Special effects like particles, different sorts of lights, audio, video players. Now, at the moment, video players aren't supported by Mona, but that could be in the future. And any UI. Again, you probably wouldn't use UI for this, but still. So, and I'm just going to talk quickly about Unity before we go into the template, just so you're aware. So this is a hierarchy. This has got everything that like is in the scene. Really important is to know child objects. So if I drag and drop this over, then this will become the, like, I guess father object or whatever of, and then it'll have children. Oh no, sorry, parent. That's the one that it's called. So when I move this, this moves with it. This is really good. Say if you were making a game and you made the cube the child object of the camera. And so now when you move the camera, the cube moves with it. Let's say if it was a third-person shooter, and actually it would be that the camera would be a child of the cube, and then you would move that. But when we get into the template, we won't actually be using a camera. It's got its own pre-made sort of third-person thing or whatever. All right, so we've got the hierarchy there. We've got the scene here. For the game view, you won't be worrying about that just because of how Mona's set up. Because we don't use the game view. Inspector is for the selected item, it's going to show you all the information of that. So let's look at just the game object first. This has no information other than it's got its name. You can set tags and layers, but again, these two things you won't worry about. It being static is more important for if you're like doing baking lights. But again, that I'm going to keep it really simple. You don't need to worry about that. It's got the position, rotation, and scale. So obviously, as I move this around, the position can change. I can also type in a number and it'll go there. And now let's say if I wanted to change the rotation, what do I do? So I can move it in lots of different ways by my mouse. But if I press E on my keyboard, now I can rotate it. Now there's not much that you can really see to rotate, but it's rotating it there. If I press W, I can go back to position, and then R is scale. Now it might be a bit more interesting to look at it on the cube. So we can rotate it, and that's just W, E, and R, and then we can do T, but we're not going to use T. Now if we look at the cube, it's got a mesh, so it's got a mesh renderer. That's why we can see the cube. And then it's got a collider, so that means if someone was to try and run into this, they won't be able to go through the cube. We can muck around with this sort of stuff later. And now we've got the project. So the project is basically just your folder that we have in here. It's just basically all the information in here, but primarily you're going to be looking at the assets folder. So we look into the assets folder. We've got a lot of rubbish in here. So we got add your art. If you wanted to be really technical and cool, you could do that, but I'm going to just pretend that I'm not cool and delete all that. The amount of assets you need. And let's actually get the scene folder up. So we've got in scenes, we've got these 3 scenes. Don't save that. All right. First one is the space. That is literally, if we look into the hierarchy and we see the information, we've got the spawn point. That's your character. That's what'll start. We've got one light, and we've got the floor. It says delete this, but no, we're going to not do that. We're going to leave that in there because we're cool. All right, and we're going to drag in another scene, which is going to be portals. Portals you might want to use. I'm not going to cover that in this one, so we're actually going to select the prefab door and press delete just to delete it. But we still want to keep the scene in there just because of how Mona works. It's just like, hey dude, keep the scene in there. Artifacts is when you're having an artwork and when you look at it, it'll come up on the screen so that you can go to the link that it comes up to, say if you want to buy an NFT. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to make basically, I'm going to have like 3 artworks in here and maybe like a wall or 2, something really simple. I'm probably going to get a different skybox too. Control S to save that because I deleted the thing from the portal. Now we've got the scene here. What I want to do is I'm going to just in the scene of the space scene, I'm going to add a cube. Now I'm going to stretch it and stretch it a little bit, and that's going to be like just a wall. Cool, that's real cool, Dale. Doing a wall. All right. Next step is let's go onto the internet. Maybe let's type in Google and we'll go our videos. We'll go. Let's just pretend that we're great artists. And yeah, let's get the Mona Lisa because we're so good. We even painted the Mona Lisa. All right. Obviously, you will be looking into like all the copyright stuff. You know, this isn't about that. This is just to show the skill of making these. So I'm going to download these 3 images. Then I'm going to go into downloads, select those 3 images, go over to Unity, and then in assets, I'm just going to drop them in. File structure, be damned, it doesn't matter. Okay, I'm going to select those 3 files, and let's just leave them as default at the moment. Cool thing is, you could like drag and drop a picture onto the cube, and then it's going to color the cube. That's not really what we want right now, though. So what we're going to do instead is I'm going to select that cube. I'm going to go 3D object. I'm going to choose a quad. Quad's just like a square, basically. And then I'm going to drag it out a little bit. I'm going to shrink it down. And then I'm going to just put it there. Now I'm going to drag over the eye. But look, oh no, it's all stretched and all weird. What we can do is, a real cheat way is going, so we got 1024 by 512. We can make this 1024 by 512. Now it's giant, but it doesn't matter because when we like scale it down. Hang on, it's all in. Let me just scale it down a bit. Scaling it down now. Look, hey, all right, we got some nice stuff now. It's perfect size. But look, it's all grey. We don't want that. So what we need to do is we go into, this is like the material down here. So this is, you can see the little image there. That's what creates the color. We go into where it says standard. Let's turn it in to sprite. So sprite isn't affected by lighting. And so now it's going to always look great, even in like the shadows. And maybe what we'll do is, so we can duplicate that cube, Control D, and drag it across. And because that quad is a child of the cube, it's going to copy the quad as well. And so I'm going to do it for little Moni over here. All right, what's their size? So 1024, so that's a square. All right. And because it's a square, we can use our cool skills to know that 1 by 1 is a square. Alright, but we also need to do the sprites as well, so we'll go default. Let's duplicate that cube again, and we'll do the same thing for this. And that's a cube as well. Alright, and then we go to sprites. Okay, so now we've got these guys. I might make it look a little bit prettier, because why not? Let's make it just that little bit prettier. And now for the spawn point, let's just move it a little bit so it starts in the middle, so that we can look at it like that. And but I'm also thinking that the light, doesn't look too good. So let's select the directional light. Let's press F. F is for find, and it will center it. Now we can rotate the light around, and you can even see that it's got the sun coming up. And we can move it around. Let's just maybe make it so that it's lit, kind of like that, So then we've got nice shadows on the side there, but it's also lit pretty alright. This bothers me, so I'm going to scale it down slightly. If we select the directional light again, we can go through the details. So we've got the intensity. Keep in mind, that when you change the intensity in this, sometimes it doesn't show in the same way when you actually preview it through Mona. So experiment with the intensity of the light. Indirect multiply you don't need to worry about. You could turn on and off shadows if you want to, like hard shadows. The strength is the strength of the shadows. You can see it there going up and down. And I actually want to turn down normal bias. This isn't an issue right at this moment, but if you've got objects with lots of different polygons, sometimes the light will shine through the polygons. Doesn't look as good. Near plane and bias, you could muck around with a bit, but these sort of settings are usually pretty good. Okay. We can also change the color of the light. Maybe let's make it a little bit more red, or sorry, a bit more yellow. And from here, so each of these boxes has a collider, and also each of the quads has a collider. So what we might even do is I'm going to duplicate that eye, and I'm going to remove the collider. We'll muck around with this when we test it, but basically it's just going to mean that you'll be able to walk through this, which might be what you want. And now we're also going to duplicate, oh sorry, no, let's just create a new, let's make a sphere. And we'll just throw a sphere in anyway, because then we can muck around with that, and maybe we can jump on these boxes. But I might just actually make a cube, and let's say that I don't want you in my Monaverse to, for some reason, walk past all this way here. Maybe it's just we've got a wall here. I don't want you to walk past it. But I also want you to be able to see over there. So I can get rid of the mesh renderer. I can actually remove it completely. and I can remove the other mesh part. And now I've got a box collider. And so you can see it obviously by the green. That means that your person won't be able to walk through that. I'm going to even make it a whole lot longer just so that we know for sure that it's there. Alright, last thing that I'm going to muck around with is this sky. It looks hideous. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to, there's this place called Polyhaven, and I'm just going to delete that so we go straight to the thing. This used to be HDRI Haven, and HDRI is basically what they call the skybox, or sorry, I'm still using the words, the sky. And so what we're going to do is we're going to browse HDRIs, and I'm going to try and find a nice pretty one. I want one with some nice clouds. Let's pretend that this one's great. Alright. And now I'm just going to download the JPEG of it. Let's just click in on this mate here. When it's finished, I'm going to right click, save image as. I'm just going to save it in downloads. And it's going to download itself. Now look, that's a big size. We don't want something that size. But I'm going to put it in at the moment, and then I'll show you how to change that size. So at the moment, it's image, and yep, I can't drag it on. So what I actually need to do is I'm going to right click in here and create, and go create material. And now I'm just going to name it sky. You could name it whatever. But I'm going to change the shader to a skybox, and if I remember right, I'm going to change it to panoramic, and I'm going to click and hold and drag that over there. And now what I'm going to do is go into Window, Rendering, Lighting, and I am also, I'm going to go into Environment. I'm going to drag sky over, and look, voila, and now we've got a skybox in there. And now let's check it, right? Because sometimes, yeah, here we go. All right. So we've got, and we can just close that for now. We've got an ugly seam here. If you can see it, a big seam. And I had to do some research for this, and all you need to do is click on the texture, like the image, not the material. Click on the image, and you turn off Generate Mim Map, and then you change the wrap mode to clamp. And then if we go apply, there we go, seam's gone. All right, next thing is, if we look in, we've got the size here, 8,000 by 4,000, quite large, 16 megabytes. The max for Mona, they usually say is like 180, but we could get it so small. So I'm going to change the max size to 2,000. And then you can see there's no real change in quality of the image, really. But it's gone down to 1 megabyte. Now we could even do stuff like crunch compression and make it go down real low. This is if you've got heaps as well. So now see it's down to 2,000. And now, just for the sake of it, like it might be hard to see in the recording. There is a difference, just so you know. If we go down to 2,000, there is a difference, but really, 1 megabyte is not much for a whole sky. Okay, so now we've got this. Let's pretend that I'm happy with it. Okay, so I'm going to go Control S to save. And now go up to Mona, build playground files. Now that's going to build that. It's going to make a little like zip folder, I think, and then all we're going to do with that is we're going to go over, and I'm going to close these, I don't need them anymore. I'm going to go over to this thing here, the mona.gallery/playground. Once it's done compiling and doing all the building and stuff, it's going to actually open the folder that you can drag in. There it goes. So we've got exports. I'm just going to move that out of the way. Playground files. Now if I hover over, see it's like 3 megabytes. That's nothing. Nothing. Alright, and then we select the file. It's going to load it up. And yeah, here we go. And so you can see the color of the lights slightly different. And oh yeah, and so we've got an error here, more than one root object in the space scene. We'll just double check. Yep, you can see that. Okay, that means that in this space scene, there's all this stuff here. So we can select all that and just drag it in, and it'll say that there's now no issues with that. But let's just keep mucking around in here. So that I probably needed to muck around with it being stretched. Oh, actually, that might be what it is. So if we go back in here, it says 1000 by 24, but what you need to do is you go in here and turn it into a sprite in the texture type. So I've just got the image selected, turn it into a sprite, go apply. Now it's got all the information. So that means that, yeah, we had it stretched in the wrong sort of way. So let's select the other images. We don't need to do it for the texture for the skybox. Any sort of ones that are sprites. And so then we go apply. Alright. So that was 1024 by 649. Okay. But that's something that then you could go and do and fix up in your own time. Let's go back to here. So we've walk around. We can press V to see it in like third person. And what we're probably going to do is fix up how harsh the light is. Alright, now we can not run through the cubes. Perfect, that's what we wanted. We can walk through this quad here, that's awesome. And then there was going to be a wall here. Boop, okay. You can see, can't walk through it. And then we've got this little thing, so we can press spacebar to jump. We can jump on that, and jump on the top of the cubes as well. Boom. Alright, we are heroes, aren't we? Look at that. What a hero pose. Okay. Let's go back real quick. So, now obviously, yeah, you could fix that up, but what we want to do is go to Window, Rendering, Lighting, and then we can click New Lighting Settings. And then we've got baked global illumination on. We don't want that on. That's for when you've got like the lights saved. I can explain this another time. But basically, check real-time lighting, and then let's go generate lighting. And we go down here, and it's going to tell us, yes, we're going to do it, and we're going to do it really well. And then, and what that's going to do is it's going to generate lighting from the skybox and any sort of reflective stuff. So now let's save it and let's go build playground files. Tends to be a little bit faster the second time you build playground files. And then when it's done, we can just press that and so it's reopened. Alright, so that's done. Now let's go back in here, and we're going to drag and drop that in. And now see, yeah, lighting looks heaps better. So that's because we've rendered the lighting and stuff by new lighting settings. Oh, it looks so much better. So much cleaner. Look, no harsh, crazy shadows. And that is alright. Now, what you could do from here is you can have all your NFTs, line them up, and put them on boxes. But let's say you don't want to do that. Let's say, Dale, I really don't like the look of just boxes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the Unity Asset Store. You might be thinking, Dale, what the hell are you talking about? Let's sign in the Unity Asset Store. This will be your Unity ID. It automatically will sign in for me, but this is where you can get models. So first thing I want to do is maybe like, well, first of all, I just want some 3D models, and I don't want to pay for them. So I can go down here and go into free assets. Now, this is for gaming, so this is going to be a lot of different things. Think of the Motorverse as like a mobile game, so you want a lot of low poly sort of stuff. So what I'm going to do is actually just search low poly, and I'm going to go a wall because I want a wall as well. And now we've got maybe like, I don't know fully yet what I want to do. We got low poly props packs. Now I've already bought this, or like, I think I just picked it up. So let's use that one then. So it's the low poly props pack. Okay, say that fast. All right, and then we're gonna go into Window, Package Manager. This is gonna load up all the packages that I've bought or collected, connecting to my what is it, like my ID. And I do have a lot, so it might take a little bit to load up. There we go. Okay, now I'm gonna search low poly props pack in the search thing. And let's see, here it is here. So now that I've got that selected, first thing I need to do is download it. Oh, we can see how big the file size is there. That's not ideal, but let's just see how it goes. Because we can always do some crazy stuff to make it a bit smaller. While that's downloading, the plan now for the rest of this tutorial is just placing some of these, making it look pretty, and then we're going to mint the, well, not mint, but we're going to make it so that it's uploaded onto like Mona so that we can share it. So this is downloading pretty nicely, and then once that's downloaded, then we can, and so keep in mind that when you download it, it's actually saved on your computer, and then when we import it, it's going to import a new version into the Unity project. So if you find that you're getting file size, and you can just go click import. If you're finding that you're running low on file size, check where these are downloaded. You might have to search it up online, and you can you can delete them because you won't need them. They'll be in your project. So we can close that now. Where was it? Maybe in pack. Yeah, probably. Yeah, in the pack. Okay, we've got walls. Maybe models. Oh no, prefabs. Prefabs is a really important name to know. That's basically like the final model to use. And we've got this wall here. Oh, look at that. Look at that. All right. And I'm gonna just, maybe I'll just get rid of the thing there and get rid of the box. Not a big deal. All right. And then does this come with a collider? So let's open it up. Box 4. Interesting. It doesn't come with a collider. So what we need to do is go add component, mesh collider, and then that'll add it over the mesh. We will test this out later. And something that's important in Monoverse is sometimes if the image is too close to the model, it can add some effects where it sort of makes it a bit glitchy. We'll test this though. And you could do this for all the other ones as well. Whack in a barrel. Unfortunately for these models, we need to add mesh colliders, but you can also add in other colliders. So we've got a box collider, capsule, sphere, and then say if it was a sphere, it will come out, and then you can use the radius sort of stuff to define the size. But for me, mesh is easy. It just will take a little bit more computing power, but not a big issue. Alright, now we got to remember that it doesn't like it when things are outside there, so we're going to save that. Build the playground files. Bappity boopity. Now it's going to come up. I'm going to refresh this. And this will be nearly done. And while that's, oh yeah, no, that'll be done any second now. And let's check the file size too. So the file size is like 3.46. Now with those two models added, let's just see what the file size is. So, oh, it's about the same. Okay, mustn't have affected it much with the size of the textures. So if I run into this thing, now it's got a collider. Same with the wall. Now I'll try and make it Oh, hey, okay. Just ignore that. So I'm going to refresh back. So you can see that now, yeah, we've got a new kind of cool wall in there, and that was actually free. I believe it was free, like, and I bought it. I didn't actually buy it; it was just free. All right, let's pretend that this is our final one. So we need to go now into Wallet. You do need a MetaMask. Set up a MetaMask if you haven't already. I'm not going to explain how to set up a MetaMask. I've just got to try and remember my password. Oh, God, okay. Just that? Yeah, okay. Now, it's all right. We've got that MetaMask. Click on that, and it's going to be like, "Hey, dude, you want to link in?" Yeah, I'm like, "Yeah, mate, I want to link in." And now I've got one there, but I want to make a new space. Let's just type in test. I'm sure that you will also type in test and not any sort of information and description. I'm going to choose a gallery and go next. And then now, that was all the information there. We've got playable file, preview image, immutable file, preview render. I don't mess with these two for the moment. The only two that I'll be mucking around with is these. Playable file, so that's the exact same thing that we were dragging in before. We drag it in there. And looks right, so we didn't have any portals or canvases or artifacts, so that looks perfect. Let's go upload. Sometimes this can take a while, so just bear with it for a bit. The preview image is, yeah, so that's all uploaded, that's good. Preview image is just so that when you load it up, it'll open up a nice image. We won't worry about that today. But if I go preview, see, so when you upload a preview image, it'll change all this look. It's loading up now, and now boom. And then we can walk around our space and have a mad time. And so there's lots of things that you could do in this. But you might just want to do something simple like this. Maybe even you want, like, you have a few extra ideas. I'm going to upload this on YouTube, and then I'll add the link for this space in the description. Message me if you want more details. If you're like, yeah, I just wanted to make this. All right, that should be everything. Catch you guys.